Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Martial Universe Season 9 Part 47 based on novel. So let's start. Many figures swiftly crossed the spacious large hall with lightning-like speed as powerful yuan power swept forth. Their eyes were all locked onto the silver scepter in the hand of the stone statue. Clearly, all of them wanted to obtain this treasure. Even Lin Dong was no exception. He could sense that this so-called Lightning Emperor scepter was definitely a treasure that was not inferior to his burning sky cauldron. The Lin Dong duo were the first to arrive at the main hall. Hence, they were also in the lead currently. Within 10 breaths' time, they had crossed the hall and appeared in front of the stone statue. However, just as they were about to reach the stone statue, two extremely sharp winds suddenly ruthlessly struck towards the fatal spots on their back. The wind contained a death chi fluctuation. Clearly, the ones who have attacked were actually two profound death stage experts. Moreover, the only ones here who were at profound death stage were the two experts from Nine Serene Gate and Mysterious Sky Hall respectively. Lin Dong's eyes sunk as he faced the combined attacks from these two individuals. However, he did not turn around. He shook his sleeve before a black shadow rushed forward. After which, it violently collided against those two powerful attacks. Bang! Wild and violent yuan power swept apart in the sky. After which, many experts were stunned when they saw that the black figure, which had forcefully received the attack from the two initial profound death stage experts, merely trembled for a moment before forcefully stabilizing its body. What? The grey-haired old man and the middle-aged man, who saw this scene, had a change in their expressions. Clearly, they did not expect that their combined attack would actually be blocked. Is that a puppet? Some experts were so shocked that they let out an exclamation. This was because they realized that the black figure was actually a puppet that was as black as ink. However, this puppet seemed exceedingly peculiar. Swoosh! The devouring sky corpse rushed towards the grey-haired old man while the crowd was in an uproar. It caused waves after waves of furious cries to be emitted. Lin Dong acted as though he did not hear the chaos behind him. Using his devouring sky corpse as a temporary obstacle, he leapt forward and appeared on the arm of the massive stone statue. Brother Lin Dong, you have already obtained plenty of treasures since you entered this cave dwelling. Allow Xiangshuan to obtain this item. A gentle voice was suddenly transmitted into Lin Dong's ear after he landed on the arm of the stone statue. This voice caused Lin Dong to be a little absent-minded. However, he quickly focused his mind. He surveyed his surroundings before he promptly saw that Liu Xiangshuan was leading the experts from Mysterious Sky Hall and heading over. I'm sorry. This item has caught my eye as well. Let our abilities determine who shall obtain it. Lin Dong smiled faintly. Liu Xiangshuan seemed to be well versed in mental energy as well. Just her words alone could affect one's heart. Fortunately, Lin Dong was fairly skilled in this field as well. Hence, he did not fall for her charms. Brother Lin Dong, I will stop them. Mu Lingshan's small body shot forward. The life-death coffin cover in her hands directly formed a black light as it ruthlessly smashed towards Liu Xiangshuan's group. Lin Dong's body rushed forward at almost the same time. In a flash, he appeared on the right arm of the stone statue. After which, he grabbed the silver scepter. After watching all of you quarrel for such a long time, it is finally time for us to make a move. Snatching this silver scepter was likely not an easy task. Just as Lin Dong was about to grab the silver scepter, a laughter suddenly sounded. After which, Lin Dong suddenly braced his attention. Bright light suddenly flashed at the corner of his eye before three figures mysteriously surfaced in a ghost-like fashion. The trio from Yuan Gate. Lin Dong looked at the three figures, who had appeared in a strange fashion. His eyes quickly turned icy cold. Are those three fellows finally going to attack? The moment these three individuals appeared, the silver-haired man and the man with the white jade-like skin threw their palms forward. Two majestic yuan power smashed towards Lin Dong with lightning-like speed. Moreover, there was actually death chi surging within their yuan power. The two of them were actually profound death stage experts. This attack caused Lin Dong's expression to be slightly altered. He had never expected that the three of them would actually maintain such a low profile. Even though they were clearly at profound death stage, they had never revealed their capabilities at all. Lin Dong did not dare to slide the attack from these two individuals. He shook his sleeve before his burning sky cauldron flew out. After which, it violently collided against the two yuan power pillars filled with death chi. Clang! A clear metallic sound reverberated throughout the large hall. The bright red light over the burning sky cauldron swiftly flickered. Immediately, he flew backwards. Although he managed to block the attack, Lin Dong's was also stopped. Allow me to enjoy this treasure. The man with the dangling hair, who had not attacked, merely smiled. He extended his hand and grabbed the silver scepter. Boom! However, a deafening thunder suddenly resounded over the hall the moment the man grabbed onto the silver scepter. It was possible to see tens of thousands of lightning flickering over the silver scepter. An extremely wild and violent lightning power radiated forth. Bang! The lightning collapsed and the man with the dangling hair, who was grabbing onto the silver spectre, was directly blown off. In fact, that air wave caused his entire body to fly backwards. Big brother! The other two had a change in expression upon seeing this scene. Clearly, they did not expect that the silver scepter would actually possess such a powerful retaliation force. The man with dangling hair steadied his body in mid-air. Immediately, his expression gradually turned gloomy. One of his hands was currently completely charred black, while fresh blood dripped down from his fingers. Bang! The silver scepter trembled violently at this moment. It was as though it had been awoken from a deep slumber. A moment later, a thunder sounded. Following which, the silver scepter suddenly flew away from the stone statue before it subsequently transformed into a huge thunderbolt. From a distance away, it looked just like an enraged lightning dragon. Roar! The thunderbolt flashed. After which, it crazily charged towards the many experts within the large hall. Some of the experts attempted to grab it, but all of them were miserably punished by that wild and violent lightning energy. The entire hall turned chaotic because of the silver scepter's action. Many wild and violent yuan power erupted. However, all of them cried and flew backwards after they collided with the thunderbolt. Brother Lin Dong, there is an extremely powerful energy on the silver scepter. It is impossible for us to stop it. Mu Lingshan also fell back to Lin Dong's side at this moment. She had grabbed the object earlier, only to be thrown backwards. Lin Dong's eyes flickered. He had also sensed an extremely strange fluctuation from the silver scepter. That fluctuation was the energy from the thunderbolt ancestral symbol. That energy was not something that could be easily tamed by others. After an increasing number of experts in the whole hall were severely wounded by the silver scepter, no one dared to act hastily once again. Even the grey-haired old man and the trio from the Yuan Gate had temporarily stopped. Their eyes stared coldly at the raging thunderbolt. The atmosphere in the hall seemed to resemble that of a strange stalemate. Lin Dong observed this stalemate. Suddenly, a glint flashed across his eyes. Immediately, his body rushed forward. In a flash, he had approached the lightning dragon-like silver scepter. This time around, no one tried to stop Lin Dong. Instead, a mocking expression flashed across their face. Even an initial profound life stage expert was reduced to such a miserable state. What more could one expect from Lin Dong? Lin Dong suddenly extended his hand in front of the many pairs of eyes. After which, he suddenly grabbed the lightning emperor scepter. Bang! Wild and violent thunder once again sounded. A wave of shocking lightning strength crazily spread. You merely possess a tiny portion of the thunderbolt ancestral symbol's strength. I do not believe that I cannot subdue you with the devouring ancestral symbol. Waves of pain were transmitted to Lin Dong's hand. However, a bright redness flashed across his eyes. The devouring ancestral symbol within his Niwen place shook before devouring power crazily gushed into the lightning emperor scepter. The resplendent and huge lightning glow continued to struggle wildly within Lin Dong's hand. Waves after waves of wild and violent energy which caused one's expression to change, came raging forth. It even caused the surrounding space to distort. Meanwhile, Lin Dong's hand was covered in fresh blood due to that wild and violent lightning energy. However, his hand had already become numb and even that intense pain could not spread. However, Lin Dong's eyes became increasingly sharp in the face of this intense resistance from the Lightning Emperor Scepter. The devouring ancestral symbol in his Niwen place turned into a huge black hole. Waves after waves of devouring power flowed along the meridians of Lin Dong's body before they passed through his hand and poured into the Lightning Emperor Scepter. Bang bang bang. A continuous stream of explosions occurred within the thunderbolt formed by the Lightning Emperor Scepter. The moment Lin Dong's devouring power surged into the scepter, the lightning energy within it began to expel this external force that had entered. These lightning energy originated from the thunderbolt ancestral symbol and they were quite domineering. Therefore, there was no way they would allow any other energy to occupy their territory. However, the domineering thunderbolt ancestral symbol's energy seemed to have met an opponent that was extremely difficult to deal with. Their wild and uncontrolled violence lost its edge in the face of the devouring power. Every time they clashed, the devouring power would invade from every direction. After which, it devoured their strength bit by bit. This Lightning Emperor Scepter might possess the strength of the Thunderbolt ancestral symbol, but it was not the actual Thunderbolt ancestral symbol. However, the interior of Lin Dong's body held the actual devouring ancestral symbol, that was comparable to the Thunderbolt ancestral symbol. This fight was on two completely different levels. Hence, with the flow of time, the resistance within the Lightning Emperor Scepter grew increasingly feeble. The devouring power quietly spread and began to gradually take control of the Lightning Emperor Scepter. Lin Dong hovered in midair. At this moment, he was grabbing onto a 1,000 feet large thunderbolt in his hand. His body was relatively small compared to this thunderbolt. Moreover, there were some lightning sparks occasionally cackling on the thunderbolt. Hence, it was possible that his body could be directly shattered into dust by that spreading energy. Many experts within the hall watched on with cold and uncaring eyes. They naturally did not believe that Lin Dong could subdue the Lightning Emperor Scepter, which had thwarted everyone else. However, the cold expression in their eyes gradually changed after some time. This was because they realized that the originally wild and violent thunderbolt had actually become a little gentler. This transformation caused everyone's pupils to suddenly shrink. After which, shock rose from within their heart. Could it be that Lin Dong could actually subdue the Lightning Emperor Scepter? How is that possible? That was something that even a profound death stage expert was unable to accomplish. Huff. Lin Dong's tightly shut eyes slowly opened in front of the many shocked pairs of eyes. There was an arc slowly being lifted at the corner of his mouth. Return. A low and deep cry was suddenly emitted from within Lin Dong's mouth. After which, everyone was shocked to see that the lightning dragon-like thunderbolt began to shrink rapidly. The lightning glow was withdrawn before it finally transformed back into a 10 feet long silver scepter. Lin Dong's bloody hand gripped tightly onto the scepter. Both his eyes contained a wild joy that could not be concealed. His eyes were searing hot as he stared at the scepter in his hand while a tinge of shock flashed across his eyes. This Lightning Emperor Scepter was made of some unknown materials. It was completely bright silver in color. Countless obscure and complicated lightning symbols were carved on it. These lightning symbols flashed, appearing like numerous majestic lightning bolts. There were 8 lightning dragons roaring towards the sky at the top of the scepter. In the middle of these dragons, stood a palm-sized silver thunderbolt. Traces of lightning arcs flashed from it before pouring through the 8 lightning dragons that covered the entire scepter. An aura that left one speechless was being radiated from the scepter. It felt as though whoever held this scepter could control the lightning in this world. Lightning Emperor Scepter. Lin Dong was tightly clenching onto the scepter. He involuntarily parted his mouth and smiled. By relying on the devouring ancestral symbol within his body, he had finally successfully tamed this treasure. He has actually tamed the Lightning Emperor Scepter? At this moment, those experts, who had turned absent-minded, finally recovered their senses. Immediately, someone involuntarily cried out loud. His voice was filled with jealousy. The Yuan Gate trio, who were standing a short distance away, had somewhat ugly expressions on their face upon witnessing this scene. The three of them had acted in, but the Lightning Emperor scepter had ultimately landed in Lin Dong's hands. Liu Xiaoxuan also gently clenched her teeth while her eyes were filled with dissatisfaction. After all, this treasure was considered a top-tier treasure even within their mysterious Sky Hall. The atmosphere in the hall clearly turned a little tensed. The eyes of many individuals flashed while a greed and murderous intent was present within them. In the face of a treasure, it was obvious that any deterrence would be weakened. Lin Dong had naturally sensed a greedy expression in their eyes. His face immediately turned cold and indifferent. Tightly clenching onto the Lightning Emperor scepter, lighting sparks vaguely cackled. Swoosh! Mu Lingshan had also rushed over to Lin Dong's side at the moment. The life-death coffin cover in her hand also had a black light fluctuating from it. Lin Dong, hand me the Lightning Emperor scepter. That is the target of my 9 serene gate. The tense atmosphere in the hall did not continue on for long. Many vicious and unwilling cries suddenly resounded. Pang Hao and the 3 demon generals of the 9 serene gate beside him rushed out together. After which, their sharp attacks were directly targeted at Lin Dong. You are asking to die? Chill suddenly surged within Lin Dong's eyes when he saw that Pang Hao actually dared to attack him. Moreover, Lin Dong did not show any signs of retreating even when up against a perfect profound life stage expert and 3 advanced profound life stage experts. Instead, his body rushed forward. A thunder roar suddenly radiated from the Lightning Emperor scepter in his hand. Bang! As he swung and maneuvered the Lightning Emperor scepter, thousands of thunderbolts whistled past Lin Dong's body. At the moment, he looked just like the Thunder Emperor, walking amongst the lightning. An extremely wild and violent thunderbolt directly whistled out from the Lightning Emperor scepter. After which, it tore through space and ruthlessly slammed against Pang Hao's men with a shocking speed. Boom! A shockingly loud sound reverberated within the hall. After which, everyone noticed that the faces of Pang Hao's group had turned completely red. Blood was spat out wildly from their mouths as their bodies flew backwards miserably. A mere strike and Pang Hao's group was completely defeated. Within the large hall, many surrounding experts shrunk their eyes. Although Lin Dong was able to defeat Pang Hao when they were having a fight outside of the Lightning Hall, he was unable to do within such a decisive manner. Clearly, it was the might of the Lightning Emperor scepter. Brat, you are causing death. The 9 Serene Gate's grey-haired old man had a completely furious expression. He cried out furiously and suddenly threw a punch forward. A majestic Yuan power pillar with death chi lingering over it ruthlessly flew towards Lin Dong. Lin Dong pressed his toes on the air. His body rose and the Lightning Emperor scepter in his hand swung down violently. Immediately, a thunder resounded. Dozens of whistling lightning collided head-on with that Yuan power pillar. Boom! Wild and violent fluctuation erupted within the hall. Air waves swept over and Lin Dong's body flew backwards by hundreds of feet. After which, he stabilized himself. It turns out he was actually able to forcefully receive that ferocious attack from that grey-haired old man. Ha ha! Lin Dong steadied his body before he involuntarily laughed heartily. With his current strength, facing a profound death stage expert head-on was no easy task. However, with the help of the Lightning Emperor scepter, he was able to keep up fairly well. If one was to simply look only at its offensive strength, this Lightning Emperor scepter was superior to the Burning Sky Furnace. Of course, the Burning Sky Furnace was able to form its own realm. This was something that the Lightning Emperor scepter could not accomplish. The two of them were powerful in their own ways. Obtaining this Lightning Emperor scepter had clearly allowed Lin Dong's combat strength to soar once again. Just as Lin Dong was laughing heartily, the grey-haired man had an extremely gloomy expression on his face. The might of the Lightning Emperor scepter struck fear in his heart as well. When they were exchanging blows previously, Lin Dong did not dare to fight head-on with him. All the latter could do was to rely on his speed to pester the grey-haired old man. However, with the Lightning Emperor scepter in his hand, it gave Lin Dong the qualifications to fight head-on with him. In the large hall, while the expression on the grey-haired old man's face was gloomy and in turmoil, the clamoring and noisy hall quieted down. Initially, those surrounding experts, whose eyes were filled with greed, started to furrow their brows. Evidently, the combat prowess displayed by Lin Dong caused them to become extremely wary of him. Kid, you are pretty skilled indeed. However, do you really believe that you have the qualifications to challenge our 9 Serene Gate? You ought to know that once you leave the Heavenly Lightning Sea region, our 9 Serene Gate will pursue you till you've nowhere left to run, and no corner to hide. Since I dare to steal from the sinister Wind Cave, you should know that these types of threats do not work on me. Grasping the Lightning Emperor scepter in his hand, Lin Dong hovered in midair before he replied casually, with a faint smile draped across his face. A chilling intent flashed across the grey-haired old man's eyes. Promptly, he intentionally spoke at a slower pace. If you hand over the Lightning Emperor scepter, I'll personally guarantee that all our past grudges shall be erased. I believe that there shouldn't be anyone in the world who wants to become enemies with a powerful faction, am I right? Hearing those words, the expression on Pang Hao's face changed immediately. However, just as he was able to speak up, the grey-haired old man extended his hand to stop him. With that, he could only clench his teeth in indignation. Hearing those words, Lin Dong gave a smile before shaking his head while he replied, I do not wish to provoke anyone. However, there are only 2 words I have to anyone that wants me to surrender the treasures in my hands. Piss off. You. When he saw that Lin Dong refused to give him face, killing intent finally erupted uncontrollably from the grey-haired old man's eyes. Evidently, he was extremely outraged. Upon witnessing this sight, not a slightest shred of dread appeared on Lin Dong's face. With a wave of his sleeve, his heavenly devouring corpse reappeared beside him, while his Lightning Emperor scepter began to sparkle with lightning once again. When the grey-haired elder saw the heavenly devouring corpse that appeared beside Lin Dong, his body turned sluggish immediately. Previously, he had fought with that strange puppet and he was completely thwarted by the latter. Any attacks that he unleashed seemed to have no impact at all. You'll regret this. The expression of the grey-haired old man turned gloomy as he roared out in rage. At the moment, Lin Dong was no weaker than them. Thus, if they were to forcefully clash with him, it might tempt the surrounding onlookers to take advantage of them. Lin Dong still remained unmoved. However, the faint sparkle in his eyes started to glow. Even though he had obtained the Lightning Emperor scepter, it was not his only goal. He still wanted to enter the Thunder World and obtain the treasure that he had been salivating over for several years, the Thunderbolt ancestral symbol. However, in order to enter the Thunder World, he would need the 2 other Silver Tower keys. Although his current strength has surged substantially, it would still be a stretch for him to fight against the numerous elites from the 9 Serene Gate as well as the mysterious Sky Hall. He had to find another way to get those 2 Silver Tower keys. As Lin Dong was silently thinking of a solution, some of the experts in the Great Hall were finally unable to suppress the greed within their hearts. Since they could not get the Lightning Emperor scepter, the only thing they could do was to hunt for other treasures in this place. With this thought in mind, some of them started to scatter in an attempt to obtain the treasures above the stone pillar. Lin Dong completely ignored their actions. That was because he realized that the 9 Serene Gate, mysterious Sky Hall, the 3 members of Yuan Gate, as well as some experts with exceeding powerful auras have not budged an inch. However, their eyes, which were sparkling faintly, seemed to imply that they were after something. Ha ha, everyone. Based on what I know, there are items of higher rarity located in this Thunder Hall. At this moment, the strange and bizarre atmosphere was suddenly broken by a burly man with a whip in his hand. This burly man's arms were scarlet red, making them look extremely peculiar and strange. In addition, the aura radiating out from him appeared extremely tyrannical. Although he had yet to step into the profound death stage, he was clearly at perfect profound life stage. Upon hearing his words, Lin Dong was immediately jolted. It seems like he was not the only one who knew about the existence of the Thunder World. It's said that there's a special space in the Thunder Hall. If one wanted to open this space, one would require all 3 Silver Tower keys. At this moment, the man from the Yuan Gate with drooping hair butted in. Turning his head around, his eyes landed on Lin Dong, Pang Hao and Liu Xiaoxuan, before a smile surfaced on his face. Upon hearing his words, those surrounding experts proceeded to turn and look at Lin Dong, Pang Hao and Liu Xiaoxuan. That was because the three of them held the Silver Tower keys. The three of you, at this juncture, please stop hiding? Could it be that the three of you plan to monopolize that space all for yourselves? The man with drooping hair spoke with a sneer on his face. May I know who you are? The grey-haired old man asked with a gloomy expression on his face, as he stared at the man with drooping hair. He was able to sense a sliver of a dangerous radiating from the latter's body. Eastern Xian region, Yuan Gate Hui Yuan. The man with drooping hair replied with a faint smile. These two are my fellow younger martial brothers, Chen Ling and Li Lei. Upon hearing those three names, Lin Dong instantly gawked. Promptly, as though he suddenly thought of something, his eyes turned gloomy and frosty, as he slowly said, "The three of you are the previous three small kings from the Yuan Gate." With a smile, Hui Yuan nodded his head. Leaving his gaze on Lin Dong, he replied, "Looks like the three of us are quite well known amongst your Dao sect's disciples. I never imagined that there would still be disciples who remembered our names after such a long time. How can I forget? During the previous Great Sect competition, the elder senior sister from our Sky Hall was killed by the three of you." Lin Dong replied with a faint twitch of his eyelids. "Oh, are you talking about that lady? Ha ha, yes indeed. She was killed by us." Hui Yuan replied with a laugh, before continuing, "However, we cannot hold a torch to you. Hundreds of elite disciples from our Yuan Gate were directly massacred by you. You are, TSK, truly vicious." An indifferent expression remained on Lin Dong's face. Staring tightly at Hui Yuan and the other two, he nodded his head faintly before saying in a soft voice, "If there's a chance, I'll take your lives too. Bold, as a matter of fact, the three of us are also planning on killing you, before sending your corpse back to the Dao sect." Beside Hui Yuan, the silver-haired Li Lai grinned as he said. Upon hearing this conversation, some of the surrounding experts in the gawked for a moment, before understanding in a flash. It's no wonder. Both of them came from the Eastern Xian region. It's no wonder. Lin Dong comes from the Dao sect in the Eastern Xian region. It's said that Dao sect is a super sect and they are not the slightest bit weaker than our mysterious Sky Hall. Shock and astonishment filled Liu Xiangshuan's beautiful eyes as she stared at Lin Dong. Never did she imagine that the latter would have such a background. Nonetheless, that did not really affect her. After all, even though the Dao sect was powerful, they were unable to interfere in the chaotic demon sea. You're pretty famous now within the Eastern Xian region. Ha ha, even the three great sect masters of our Yuan Gate weren't able to kill you. That's why you're able to create quite a commotion in a short period of time after you entered the chaotic demon sea." Hui Yuan spoke out. After he spoke, the atmosphere in the great hall froze in a flash. This time around, shock and astonishment filled Liu Xiangshuan's beautiful eyes. Three great sect masters attacked simultaneously. However, they could not restrain Lin Dong. Although she did not know how powerful the three great sect masters of Yuan Gate were, they should not be inferior to their own sect masters. That meant three top experts at Samsara stage. Who in world would dare to disrespect such a lineup? However, right now, the person before them, Lin Dong, who was only at advanced profound life stage, was actually able to escape from them. This fellow, who is he? An extremely solemn look erupted from the eyes of Liu Xiangshuan and the experts from the mysterious Sky Hall. Looking once again at her indifferent Lin Dong, they now felt that he had become even more mysterious. At the same time, the dread that was present within their hearts grew deeper as a result. Ha ha. We don't plan to attack you now. Our current goal is the Thunder World. Therefore, could the three of you please take out your Silver Tower keys and open the Thunder World? Hui Yuan spoke out while gesturing with his hand. Staring at Hui Yuan, Lin Dong gave a smile, before nodding his head. As of now, opening the Thunder World should take priority indeed. He was keenly aware that the current situation was rather delicate. The experts from the various factions were mutually guarding against each other. In this situation and with his current strength, it was clear that he could not forcefully snatch the remaining two Silver Tower keys. In that case, why not open up the Thunder World first? After which, it would depend on one's ability to acquire the keys in order to enter. At least, during that chaotic battle, Lin Dong won't have to fear anyone so long as he wasn't being teamed up on. After he spoke, with a clench of his hand, his silver tower appeared in a flash. Faintly, muffled peals of lightning started to ring out. Upon seeing that, a faint sparkle flashed within the eyes of Liu Xiaoxuan and Pang Hao. Exchanging gazes with the people behind them, they finally nodded their heads, flipping their palms over before their silver towers appeared in a flash. As the 3 silver towers appeared, lightning suddenly extended out from their bodies. In the next instant, the silver towers flew forth, before floating in midair within the great hall. As lightning sparkled around them, they gradually fused together. Hum! The instant the silver towers fused together, a bolt of lightning shot out all of a sudden. Furthermore, the direction that the lightning bolt was heading towards was the Lightning Emperor stone statue. Kai Kai! After the lightning bolt struck the stone statue, a silver glow instantly appeared on that statue. Following which, the space behind its chest started to slowly distort, before a spatial vortex gradually took shape. The instant the spatial vortex appeared, Lin Dong's gaze turned fiery hot. He knew. The Thunder World was definitely within that space. This meant that the Thunderbolt ancestral symbol was definitely within it. This video will end here.